Celtic defender Christopher Jullien is not fully fit and isn't ready to cope with an intense football that Celtic manager Ange plays, according to Sky Sports journalist. Kelvin Wilson says Celtic have been craving a top-quality centre-back ever since Virgil van Dijk left the club. And in new £6 million man Cameron Carter-Vickers, he believes they've found their man. And in more Celtic transfer news, Celtic are keen to get a deal for Vinicius Souza done. The defensive midfielder is on the Hoops' radar this summer. We told recently how they were looking at the Brazilian, who plies his trade with Lommel in Belgium. Celtic defender Christopher Jullien is not fully fit and isn't ready to cope with an intense football that Ange plays, according to Sky Sports journalist Anthony Joseph. The 29-year-old played just 16 minutes of first-team football throughout the entire 2021-22 campaign due to a long-term knee injury, and has publicly voiced his frustrations. Jullien established himself as Celtic's first-choice centre-back, following his £7 million arrival from Toulouse in July 2019, claiming a domestic treble in his maiden campaign at the club. However, an ACL tear in December 2020 curtailed the Frenchman's progress, allowing Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carl Starfelt and Stephen Welsh to jump ahead of him in Postecoglou's pecking order. As a result, Jullien recently admitted that he will consider his future at the club this summer due to his lack of action despite feeling 100% since mid-January. "I still have a year of contract, and I'd like to continue playing here, but my priority is to be on the pitch," said the 6'5" ace to Goal France. "If the conditions do not change, it is certain that on my side the door will be open to continue my career elsewhere at a club where the coach would be happy to rely on my qualities." Despite Jullien's cameo appearance in the Scottish Cup against Raith Rovers in February, the central defender failed to make another outing last term, and Joseph has claimed that was because he wasn't match sharp. Back to Celtic player that can play ball and wants to be at Celtic. The big American international signed on a permanent deal from Spurs on Friday and committed himself to 4 years. At Parkhead, Carter-Vickers was a revelation for Ange's side on loan last season. He was a key player in the Hoops' charge towards a Premiership and League Cup double. And by tying Carter-Vickers up for the long term, Wilson feels he can be their best defender since Van Dijk. The Dutchman left Celtic for Southampton in 2015 before moving on to Liverpool and becoming the best centre-half in the world. Wilson, who spent 2 years in Glasgow, was impressed by Carter-Vickers' displays last term. He said, "Cam was arguably Celtic's best defender last season. He was never going to have a problem getting a move this summer, whether it was to Celtic or elsewhere. But if you leave Celtic, you have to make sure it's to a club that's just as big, if not bigger, and that's hard. I watched some games he played in last season, like the ones against Rangers and the League Cup final. He was unbelievably good. He has such a presence because of the physical side to his game, but he can play as well. He'd have been a massive miss for Celtic if he hadn't signed, and he'd have been hard to replace. Since Van Dijk left, they've struggled a bit to get in quality centre-backs. But they've found one in Carter-Vickers, and it's great that they've managed to keep him at the club. Carter-Vickers could probably have earned more money by staying in England, and Spurs wouldn't have struggled to find a buyer." According to the report, Celtic have stepped up their interest in the last few days for a left-back. South America has been a part of the globe Ange and his team have been scouting of late, being linked with a few names such as Francisco Ortega and Bernabéu's latest teammate, Julian Ord. Now it's being written that Celtic FC could be on the verge of snagging their third summer signing, after bagging the aforementioned Carter-Vickers and Daizen Maeda, who had an obligation to buy included from club Yokohama F. Marinos. The defence is certainly an area that the manager is looking to strengthen moving into pre-season. Aberdeen retains a keen interest in Irish defender Liam Scales, whilst Christopher Jullien's time at the club appears to be at an end. Coupled with this is the fact that Greg Taylor played an awful lot of football last season, without any strong competition, which is unreasonable heading into the Champions League group stages next year. Celtic are also keen to get a deal for Vinicius Souza done. The defensive midfielder is on the Hoops' radar this summer. We told recently how they were looking at the Brazilian, who plies his trade with Lommel in Belgium. Souza, 22, spent this season on loan at KV Mechelen, and scouts at Parkhead have kept a close eye on the player. And after Tom Rogic and New Bitten's exits were confirmed at the end of last season, a deal for Souza would be one of Ange's priorities. The manager wants to strengthen his midfield and sees Souza as an ideal fit for his philosophy. According to popular website Transfermarkt, Souza is valued at around £4 million, and with Cameron Carter-Vickers costing in the £6 million range, and Jota's expected deal worth around £6.5 million, the price tag could potentially be a point of negotiation. Now, if you have watched to the end, thank you. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel over the next few weeks. I am going to be doing some giveaways to subscribers in videos over the summer. And on that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the